Hundreds protest detention of president's critics in Tunisia. Chad expels German ambassador Jan Christian Gordon Crick over impolite attitude. And at least 44 civilians killed in 2 separate attacks in Burkina Faso. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. We begin stories today with what happened over the weekend.
Demonstrations were organized Saturday night in different cities of Morocco to protest against the soaring prices of foodstuff at the call of a coalition of left-wing parties. In Casablanca, more than 60 people demonstrated their fed up against the high cost of living at the Chagna Square in a popular district of the megalopolis. Groups of demonstrators also gathered in Rabat, Tangier, or Marrakesh. The protests come amidst a surge in inflation that has put the government under fire from trade unions and the parliamentary opposition. Still on Saturday, a truck crashed into pedestrians and motorcycle taxis near western Kenya's border with Tanzania, killing at least 10 people and injuring 10 others. The crash in the town of Migori happened along a major highway when the driver lost control of the vehicle. According to the police, an operation to free people trapped under the truck was underway, and there are fears the death toll might rise. More than 800 couples walked down the aisle on Easter Sunday in one of the biggest mass wedding ceremonies in South Africa since the COVID-19 pandemic. The International Pentecost Holiness Church blesses polygamous unions, which are common in some African communities. They are authorized by the Bible. At the wedding ceremony, current wives wore colorful attire to the ceremony at the International Pentecost Holiness Church's Jerusalem congregation, 100 kilometers north of Johannesburg, while first-time brides wore traditional white dresses.
Every 3 times in a year, we have marriages that are conducted by the spiritual leader. So today we'll be marrying more than 800 couples.
Fulfilling what God has created for us, fulfilling the scripture that says what a woman will be leaning towards one man. Yeah, we're doing exactly that.
Celebrations were a respite from a long-standing row over the leadership of the church, which has a membership of around 3 million, making it one of the biggest congregations in South Africa. Security was tight at Sunday's ceremony, which was policed by armed guards, and metal detectors were used to screen the congregation.
Elsewhere now, some 300 demonstrators from opposition parties waved flags and carried signs with images of detainees at a rally in Tunisia, organized by the main opposition coalition, the National Salvation Front. Since early February, authorities in the North African country have arrested more than 20 political opponents and personalities, including politicians, former ministers, businessmen, trade unionists, and the owner of Tunisia's most popular radio station. Opposition parties are calling for a national dialogue in order to draw up a roadmap to save Tunisia and return to the democratic path. Tunisian President Kais Saied, who has seized almost total power since he froze parliament and sacked Tunisia's government in July 2021, claims those arrested were terrorists involved in a conspiracy against state security. British-based Amnesty International, local and international right groups have criticized the arrests and said authorities should release the detainees arrested on unfounded accusations. At least 20 African migrants are missing after their boats sank off the coast of Tunisia as they tried to cross the Mediterranean to Italy amidst a sharp rise in migrant boats from the North African country. The Coast Guard rescued 17 others off the southern city of SVACs from the same boat, 2 of whom are in critical condition. In recent weeks, dozens have died in repeated drowning incidents off the Tunisian coast. Tunisia has taken over from Libya as a main departure point for people fleeing poverty and conflict in Africa and the Middle East in the hope of a better life in Europe. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said Europe risks seeing a huge wave of migrants arriving on its shores from North Africa if financial stability in Tunisia is not safeguarded. Meloni called on the IMF and other countries to help Tunisia quickly to avoid its collapse. Let's move on to elsewhere now. Over in Burkina Faso, authorities say at least 44 civilians have been killed in 2 separate attacks on villages in the northern region of the country. The twin attacks happened in the villages of Kurako and Tundobi in the Sahel region near the Niger border. The local governor, Rodolphe Sogo, blamed terrorists for the despicable and barbaric attacks without naming any specific group. He gave sincere condolences to the grieving families and wishes of rapid recovery to those who were wounded. Burkina Faso has become the epicenter of violence carried out by Islamist militants linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. The violence began in neighboring Mali in 2012. Thousands of people have been killed during the crisis and more than 2 million have been displaced. The violence has led to significant political turbulence in the country. The German ambassador to Chad has been ordered to leave the country due to his impolite attitude and lack of respect for diplomatic customs. According to the country's communication ministry, the government of Mohamed Idris Deby had asked him to leave within 48 hours for non-compliance with diplomatic practices. Jan Christian Gordon Crick, who has been serving as Germany's ambassador to Chad since 2021, declared persona non grata for discourteous behavior, took an Air France flight and left the country over the weekend. The German Foreign Office said the reasons for the ambassador's expulsion were not clear, adding that it was in contact with the German government, in Chad to get more details about the issue. A South African convicted murderer who faked his death to escape from prison has been arrested in Tanzania after a 2-week manhunt. South African officials are to extradite 35-year-old Thabo Bester, dubbed the Facebook rapist, as he used the social media platform to lure at least 2 women he was convicted of raping. He was found guilty of killing one of his victims and was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2012. It was reported in May last year that he died in a fire in his prison cell. However, reports surfaced of him being seen in Johannesburg, and an investigation including DNA samples showed that the body found burnt beyond recognition in the cell was not his. Officials announced he was apprehended with his girlfriend, Nandifa Magudumana, a well-known celebrity doctor and a Mozambican national believed to have assisted them to cross borders and evade law enforcement authorities. They were found with several fake passports which were unstamped at the time of their arrest, about 10 kilometers from the Kenyan border. Authorities have now started the process to extradite the fugitives back to South Africa, where they are expected to face several charges. Here in Nigeria, we take a look at some stories from the southeast, in Anambra State to be specific. The governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has tasked members of the Anambra State Internal Revenue Service Board to increase the state's internal revenue, as this will play a major role in funding the 2023 budget. Governor Soludo gave the charge during the inauguration of members of the board at the Governor's Lodge in Amobia. Similarly, board members of the Anambra State Housing Development Corporation have also been inaugurated with a mandate to bridge the gap in the state's housing sector.
Governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, presenting the about 260 billion naira state budget for 2023 to the State House of Assembly in November 2022. Months later, he's inaugurating the Anambra State Board of Internal Revenue Service to help shore up the state's revenue to meet up with the budget expectation.
This inauguration, Mr. Governor.
Governor Soludo is worried about the state's inability to generate a monthly revenue of 3 billion naira.
We should be doing performance evaluation every 3 months. Every 3 months, we're going to meet with this board. If it doesn't work, this is one board that might have high mortality rate. So this board has a life of the next 3 months. After 3 months, we'll review. If it doesn't work, we'll disband you and set up a new one. We must keep on until this thing works.
Members of the board are inaugurated with a mandate to ensure over 180% turnaround on the state's IGR, which is required to finance the 2023 budget.
Not members of IRS.
At a separate event, the governor also constitutes and inaugurates the board of the Anambra State Housing Development Corporation. The committee, which is chaired by a former deputy governor of the state, is expected to bridge the housing deficit gap.
Of Anambra, as members of the Anambra State Housing Development Corporation, and you are hereby inaugurated.
We don't need to talk much, but on behalf of the board members, we will borrow that word, that destructive word you used. We are going to be destructive in discharging this duty.
This is the time to disrupt what we have done or what it has done. I'm not asking you to just go and maintain what is. I'm asking you to go and disrupt the system. Disrupt it in a manner that is consistent with the transformation agenda of this administration.
Both boards are expected to begin work immediately, while the Revenue Board will interface with the governor every 3 months for evaluation. The Housing Board is to build model estates.
Still ahead on the program. 3 years of no rainfall leaves livestock dead in the southern Ethiopian village of Kura Kalicha. Details in a moment. Please stay with us. Staying with development issues here in Nigeria, residents of Ifesuwopo community in Atakumosa West local government area and the Repodun community in Osogbo local council development area of Osun State in the southwest have appealed to the state governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, to extend dividends of democracy to them in their communities. They want the state government to factor them in the ongoing road infrastructure development in the state.
This is perhaps the best this road will be pending when the rain sets in. The deplorable untarred state of the road comes with daily struggle for the people of Irepodu and Ifesuwopo communities in Osogbo and Atakumosa local government area of Osun State, and the leaders can no longer stay silent.
This road links other communities like Oloja Ibala, like Oshunome, like Irepodu. This road now, if it's taken care of, you can go from here and link Ede. And what people do around this place mostly is farming. But our demand from the government is that they should help us. They stand to gain a lot from these communities there. There are pig farmers there, there are poultry farmers there, there are crop farmers there. If they have access to good roads, at least that will alleviate the suffering of these people. And at the end of the day, it will give us maybe cheaper food.
During the rainy season here, especially when the rain falls, there will be no any motor that will be entry or going out of this community. So we are using this opportunity to plead to His Excellency to please come to our aid, especially to at least to construct a bridge here that will allow the free flow of water.
A similar sentiment is shared by this resident who joins the appeal for intervention, knowing the challenge associated with mobility for the people.
We need the government to help us to grade our road, and there's a bridge that we need a bridge at the junction that lead to this community. And also about the electricity, we really need transformer.
The expectation of these communities is for the state government to prioritize their socio-economic welfare and urgently fix the road.
Outside of Nigeria now, like its neighbors Somalia and Kenya, southern Ethiopia is enduring the Horn of Africa's worst drought in decades. 5 consecutive rainy seasons have failed, and the one underway is expected to as well. The result is malnourishment of people and animals.
After 3 years of failed rains, the animals in the southern Ethiopian village of Kura Kalicha are dying. Dozens of decomposing cattle carcasses lie on the parched earth. While a local government official fears the villagers will be next.
We have over 100 people in critical condition and malnourished from starvation. This number includes children, elders, and pregnant women.
In Somalia, which has been hit the hardest, an estimated 43,000 people died because of the drought last year, according to researchers. No fatalities have been directly attributed to the drought in the Oromia region, where Kura Kalicha is located, or the neighboring drought-affected regions. But humanitarian workers said it will not be long. Locals say assistance has been slow to arrive. Ethiopia's federal government and state media only began to talk about the crisis publicly last month when it issued a statement. Everyone agrees the available resources are inadequate. Last year, Ethiopia received only half of the $3.34 billion required for humanitarian needs, including the drought, but also the fallout from the war in the northern region of Tigray. Jilo Guracha, a 40-year-old mother of 7, walked 85 kilometers in a scorching heat to reach a camp where she and her sons could receive food rations.
Some are committing suicide after failing to provide for their family. We plead with the government to stand by us, to save us from dying of hunger until God brings us.
Her camp in the Dubolok district was set up a year ago in an empty field and now hosts 53,000 people who live in small huts made from grass and used plastic bags. According to the United Nations, nearly 12 million people are estimated to be food insecure in Ethiopia's drought-affected areas.
Catch and develop them young. That's the theme of a sports fun day at the Duplut informal settlement near Johannesburg, where the Early Childhood Development Cluster in South Africa hosted underprivileged children in light of the Easter holidays. Present were also owners of early learning centers as well as caregivers who used the opportunity to appeal for more government funding for that educational sector, given the critical role it should play in children's development. Our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Semosa, was there and now reports.
Children living in Dipsloot informal settlement in Johannesburg often face a range of challenges that can hinder their development, including poor access to education, limited opportunities for play and socialization, and exposure to violence and crime. However, a recent event in Dipsloot informal settlement aimed to tackle some of these issues and promote positive and child development and community spirit.
Yes, it is early childhood development, but remember, we are under a Department of Education now, and physical education is part of the curriculum, especially for foundation level.
Some caregivers emphasize the importance of early childhood development and challenges facing their informal settlement daycare centers.
We actually have quite a lot of challenges because as we are in informal settlement, whereby we don't have a land. We do have a land which might be temporary, but we don't have the title deed.
Raven Gounder from South African School of Excellence spoke about the role that sports can play in promoting physical and social skills, as well as fostering a sense of community pride and identity.
We focus on developing the kids' gross motor skills. So we're currently working in all the informal settlements, and together with Tlali, we're trying to
get the kids active.
Raven believed that the government can do more to support early childhood development.
Number one, no, they're not doing enough. And they could do more, but remember in South Africa we have many challenges, and one of the challenges is sport, especially with kids. Even if you look at our advanced sports in soccer or cricket or whatever, the development part of it is lacking, and that's where more attention needs to be put in. And it starts with these kids here.
Children from different parts of the settlement were organized into teams and took part in a range of games and activities. Parents and caregivers also joined into the fun. And winners of the day.
I'm going to show all Diepsloot, they have to know that Rotonda is number one.
Oh, thank you. Research shows that the overall budget allocated for ECD in South Africa should increase from 5 billion rand to 7 billion rand in the next 3 years. Experts say the investment in ECD would see a significant increase in the number of children in early learning programs supported by the government ECD subsidy.
I'm 100% sure that they can be able, at least when they assist with money, everything in the ECD can happen because it needs money. Without money, they need to fix things. Pipes, sometimes they burst, the bathrooms and the kitchens and everything. There is no way that they can do it without money. So with extra money that they can be put in the ECDs, everything will be fine.
According to a UNICEF report released this year, 2 out of 3 children under the age of 5 in sub-Saharan Africa are at risk of poor development outcomes. This means that far too few children are thriving due to illnesses, inadequate nutrition, stress, a lack of love and stimulation, and limited opportunities for early learning. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samos, Channels Television News.
That's our program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Joke Rogers.